Hi, this is Connor with KwikModel. In this video, I'm going to be going over how to create a basement. So a conditioned basement in KwikModel is the first floor marked with this toggle. First floor is conditioned basement. So let's go ahead and add a floor above it to be our actual first floor. And then let's turn on this toggle. And now we have a basement and a floor above it. Now we can start placing some rooms. So I'm going to turn off floor 2. Usually you would have a floor plan. Just treat it like normal. So find your basement floor plan. Let's start off with these as conditioned space. We'll place some rooms here. Okay. And now there's 3 types of basement by default. So let's go into our data tab here and the rooms table. And you'll notice that the rooms on the type here have the X's next to them, except for the basement ones. And that's because these are toggled to be the conditioned basement rooms. Okay. So if you hover over each of these, you'll see that the important thing here is at the bottom is underlined basement. Sorry, the value underlined basement has yes as its value. If I go into the table here, which you can do by either clicking on the libraries tab or by holding Alt and clicking on one of these drop downs, that takes me to the room table or the room type table. You'll see basement is set to yes for these 3. And that's why these are considered valid types for the floor that has this toggled on. Okay. Otherwise, it's just like you'll see the appliance load is different, and in the bedroom, it has a number of bedrooms set to 1 there. Okay. All right. Now let's turn back on floor 2, and we'll put some rooms on top of it. All right, and then when I go into the data tab again, under the floors table, you'll notice that the types for floors are now marked with these X's. For these ones, you need the 2 presets that it'll accept are R0 over conditioned basement and R19 over unconditioned room. Obviously, if these are conditioned below, we want to select this over conditioned basement. The important thing is the second variable here is called floor style. You can see that underlined, and it says over other space. And those are what you need that selected for any type that is over another, any floor that is over another room. Okay. Now let's put the actual earth in here. So I will turn off the floor plan, and I will turn off edit rooms so I can place below the second floor here. Place the room like normal, and then you can change it to earth under change space type. And then once this drop down set to earth, it'll keep placing them as earth. All right, and anywhere it's touching earth, if I go into the data table here, under walls, I can scroll over until the, where is it? Sorry, the touching section here. And you'll notice these are touching earth. If I click on touching at the top, it will sort by that variable. So all the other ones are here, and the rest are outside space. But if I go back in and I make these a little bit shorter, let me put in a unconditioned one for comparison here. So unconditioned space, you'll notice actually it splits it into 2 different walls. So if I click on here, you'll notice this is one wall and this is another. But with earth, because of how energy gauge works, it just shows a percent. So this is 75% below earth, 62% below earth, etc. And then if I was to raise this up, and then I can have this room above it come out over it. So I'm going to move this down a little bit. And then I go into the floors tab here. You'll notice this is touching earth. And the type is fine because that's the same as if you were just having, your first story on top of the ground. So slab on grade works fine if it's above earth. You'll see the touching area is earth. There's a easier kind of automated way of doing this if you don't have, a section that it needs to be if you don't have a section of earth that you actually want like floor to be over and you just want all your walls to be unconditioned, Like let's say it's the same all the way up, or you can actually keep this one section here and then for the rest treat it that way. There is a new feature that lets you add these earth attachments, they're called, which is basically instead of placing a whole cube of earth here, you just do this really thin slice. So make sure you're under Windows/Doors, earth attachment, you hold Alt and you click, and this places a piece of earth that's attached to our wall here. And then you can add a node to it. You can delete the whole thing. So just Alt click to place it again. And then if you click on one of these nodes here, you can drag it up and down. And that's just like as if you had like a really thin or a really short piece of earth here. It'll do the exact same thing. Okay. But this gives you more control over the shape of it. And so if you add a node here, you can make it not just a slope. It can have smaller shapes inside. If you don't want it to be locked to the edge, you can uncheck this. You can move this in and out. If I set these to 0 and 0, one is from the center and one is from the, horizontal is from the center, height is from the very bottom. Okay. And then if I go into let me lock that back to edge. And if I want to set them all to the same height, I can do that as well. So if I wanted them all to be 5, I can do that. And I can obviously just delete I can delete a specific node by clicking on the node and then press the delete node button right here. So if I add a node, click on that one, delete node, there. And so if you want to set it to a specific height, just the whole thing to a specific height, drag one of the nodes to a certain height, or set it right here. And then I could do set all to height, and it'll set them all to there. Oops, sorry. There you go. Set all the height. Okay. And what's also nice about this is you get this little panel here, which lets you do it for the whole building. So say I just want all of them to be set to a height of 5. I can clear away all the old ones if I want. And then I click on Apply All Earth Heights. This will go into the table and check where the rooms are touching first. And so now you'll notice if I drag this away, where it was touching unconditioned space is removed. Okay, and you'll notice that this earth is actually touching this earth, but it's okay. Like redundant earth won't it won't add to itself. So you would probably expect, okay, this is covering more than half. This is covering more than half, but they're not going to like add together percentage-wise. You'll still show that like 80% is covering it because you still have this little corner left. Even though in total, with like overlapping and stuff, it'd be covering more than like 100%. So you don't have to worry about your earth attachments overlapping with your earth, what's called boxes. And I believe it's the same if you accidentally place like a second earth attachment or something like that. So this is probably about like 80% covering. Yeah, sorry, it looks like it's giving me an error right now. I'll get rid of that error message, but it shouldn't cause you to have an issue where it's like giving you 200% or something like that. So yeah, no need to worry there. And I'll fix that little error message up for if you have more than one. Okay, but what's important to note is right here. So if I hover over all of these and change the touching, you'll notice now that all of these walls here show they're touching 56.2% below Earth, which is what you want. All right, and then make sure on the basement floors, the basement stories floors, that these guys are all set to slab below grade because these are below grade. And if you have one where part of your room is above grade and part of it is below grade, that can be a little tricky, but let's see. Generally what you'd want to do is just split it into 2 sections. So let's say I had like something like this. So let's click on those to put them at the end. And then like this part right here that's sticking out is no longer a basement or something like that. When I try to open energy gauge loads, it might give me an error message here. Let me fill in the basic data. Okay, and we'll try to open energy gauge loads. That's fine. I'll just say test. This part's not important. Okay. Let's have one, at least one window. Let's one of those. Okay, it looks like it's okay here. But sometimes it'll give you an error message like, let's see, if I set it to like slab on grade or something like that. Yeah, it'll say you have both above grade walls and below grade walls assigned to the floor of the slab below grade. So that's all you need to do is just click on the floor, make sure, sorry, for the type, you'll see the very top one, it says slab below grade under the floor type name. And so if I go into the type library, with the other ones, sorry, I'll close out of that. No, what happened here? There we go. Sorry about that. Under the type library, you'll see slab over 2 feet below grade. So that's what it needs to be set to be a valid type for if it's a room that has like slab walls on it, or what's called earth attachments or earth boxes touching it. It needs to be set to a type that has slab on or sorry, slab over 2 foot below grade. So if I duplicated this and named it something else and gave it some separate values, that's totally fine as long as this is set to the right thing in the dropdown. And you'll notice if I go in here, because, sorry, for these ones, you'll notice it's okay to choose this type because it has that top value set to slab over 2 feet below grade. There you go. Sorry about that. So it's not the floor type name, it's the floor style. Okay. And once you have all that set, you should be able to run it like any normal building. I think that covers everything for basements. If you need any help, feel free to contact support@kwikmodel.com. Newer versions of the software, you can now press this little question mark up here and click on Contact Us. And this will take you to our website where you can send something through this, or just type in support@kwikmodel.com to, using whatever email you want. All right, thank you very much.